Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm here to give a testimonial about the DWEP. So I first came into contact with the DWEP 3 or 4 months ago. I had a friend who had taken the program with Brother Promise, and he had printed out a copy of the manual, and he had it in his backpack, and he kind of just briefly mentioned it to me, and I was immediately quite curious to see what it was. I think particularly the words wellness and empowerment spoke to me, and I was interested to see what was inside of it. So he told me there was a YouTube channel. I went onto the YouTube channel, and there was the link in the description to that copy of the manual. So I read the manual first, and then followed up by looking at some of the YouTube videos which go through some of the exercises in a little bit more detail. I'd already had some kind of routine with some of the things on the program, so it felt that there was some familiarity, some practices that I was already doing, and I wanted to see which parts of it was unfamiliar to me or that I wasn't practicing. And I also wanted to see which parts of it that I was practicing, maybe I could practice in another way. So I didn't take the program at first. I just, on my own, looked at the YouTube channel and looked at the manual and tried to add parts that I thought would be useful and I was interested in to my life. So I kind of did it just figuring out what worked for me. The main parts that I added were the Hindu push-ups and the Hindu squats. I was looking for a way to have some calisthenics and some kind of home workout that I could do myself on a daily basis to build up a bit of a routine, to build up some strength and flexibility. And I really found that these two exercises together not only were very easy to do, but they also felt quite sustainable. It does your whole body, and it allowed me to kind of build in this baseline level of exercise into my daily routine that just helped me kind of switch on to thinking that I could, changing my attitude to doing the exercise on a daily basis. Because before I was doing things like cycling and running and climbing, but I wanted to have a more of a daily practice of exercise that was kind of around yoga and calisthenics that I could be doing no matter where I was. I think this was quite important to me. So these two together actually had quite a profound impact on my routine, especially because it can be really quick. In the morning, waking up, doing 10 minutes of sitting meditation, and then what might only be 10 minutes of exercise really put me into a good mood going through to the rest of the day, because I was feeling like I'd exercised, I had some dopamine, but I also felt a difference in terms of the way that I normally started my day. If I just roll out of bed and just go and have some breakfast, often I feel still tired and sleepy and my mood is quite low, and helping myself to just get the day started was really impactful. I think Brother Promise uses the term showing up to life, and this really stuck with me a lot actually. It was really nice having the YouTube videos because it meant that I could go and see the technicalities of those two exercises, which I wanted to make sure that I was doing them correctly, particularly because I don't think I'd ever done a Hindu push-up before, so I wanted to make sure that I was actually doing the exercise properly. With some of the other routines, I was already practicing them, but kind of unofficially. You know, I was going for walks, let's say, and I was reading things about mindfulness, and I was abstaining from intoxicants. But the program kind of also highlighted this view of looking at my day in a certain way, which was to say, okay, you know, can I think about making sure that I'm doing these things in a day and also recognize and feel the benefits of them immediately. So although I'd kind of understood that I wanted to have a vegan diet, looking at it and seeing it in this program format really helped me to understand the benefits that it has on me. And I then was able to look at my day and say to myself, well, even if I don't feel that good today, maybe I don't have so much energy, maybe I don't want to do that project I'm working on, or it's a day when I want to be a bit more lazy, I was still able to think that I had a meaningful and also very physically a good day because I had done these kind of baseline level of activities, which I found really useful, especially when I've had periods when I haven't had other things going on, maybe in between jobs or this kind of thing. having a sort of structure to my day really helped. Particularly things like going to bed at 10 p.m. and also not using technology or my mobile phone for the hour or so before going to bed. I found this really important. It helped me to then wake up, start the day again with the meditation and the push-ups and squats, and created this kind of really nice circular sort of routine. The one thing kicks and helps the next one. I think that what really helped me a lot was changing the way that I approached what I wanted from the day. Because before, maybe I had goals and aspirations, and what this allowed me to do was ensure that I was actually taking care of myself. I was doing meaningful things, and I could still look towards my aspirations, but in a very kind of simple and sustainable way that I could also track. This really was very nice because not only did it actually help me to recognize the exercises and the practices that I was carrying out, but it also gave me a sense of fulfillment at the end of the day, or at the end of the period when I would tick them off. I would recognize what I was doing, and some days I might not feel so good, but just that act of filling in the sheet helped me to see, well, I am actually taking care of myself, and I am doing meaningful things with my time. And I think this has been really nice, particularly in relation to the SMART goals, which can help me to relate my daily experience to my sort of aspirations of the future. Particularly, as I mentioned, with exercise, because I have some aspirations to have a more kind of rigorous exercise routine. Having a simple way of tracking that and following it is really wonderful. Similarly, with the sitting meditation, it can be sometimes quite difficult to go and sit down for 10 minutes, but just having this kind of tracker helps to say, well, I do want to do it every day, and now I can track myself and I can help myself to complete the goals that I set. Because sometimes the troubles I have is I set goals and then I'm unable to complete them and I feel kind of disappointment, but having this simple way of tracking it can help to bridge that sort of gap, and it feels like I can actually have the aspirations. So I'd say the main benefits I've got is that it's helped me to have a routine which is simple and sustainable. It doesn't take so much energy that I feel like I can't do it amongst my other activities that I have to do. I can do it every day, and that's what's really wonderful about it. And it gives me a structure that allows me to look at my life from the point of view of taking care of myself, doing the things I want, and making sure that I'm able to continue with this kind of routine. I think routine can be really wonderful, actually. It can create a lot of freedom in the time in between the routine. It gives you a sort of structure for life. And yeah, it's really helped me, and especially because actually I kind of sort of stumbled across it and then went out and added it to my own life. I can really attest to the fact that I'm only doing it because it's really helped me, and it's because I've really enjoyed it and I found it really useful to help my well-being, really. And I can see like very obvious results from that. So I would definitely recommend it. I'd recommend it if you are looking for ways of finding well-being in your life that you might otherwise have struggled to do, because the nice thing about this is it gives you a lot of agency and autonomy over your own life. You can find ways to implement habits into your life which are simple and sustainable, and that sense of doing it yourself can be really empowering, because you then see that you can actually look after yourself and take care of yourself in a way which doesn't require other people. It's not a replacement for other things, but in terms of kind of having this daily sort of routine, daily nourishment, it's been really, really useful for me, and it's helped me a lot to find kind of my own sense of purpose and meaning, to have this structure. So I think for anyone who is looking for, or who feels like there could be more well-being in their life, who feels like they're looking for some way to help themselves, it really is really good, and there's a lot of science that backs up this kind of thing, and I'm sure when you look at it, you'll immediately be able to recognize these things are good for you, and having it in this format is simple, but there's a lot of kind of time and research that's gone into it behind the scenes to put together what ends up being quite a simple routine, and that's really wonderful. Sometimes it can just be as simple as giving people what they already kind of know. You know, if you look at this and you think, I know that having a vegan diet is good for me. I know that not having intoxicants is good for me. I know that having meaningful connections with people is good for me. But sometimes we aren't able to see all of these different parts of our life and put them together and see, well, maybe I should be doing these things every day, you know. When I think about sitting meditation, there have been many times where I don't want to go and sit. But now, as I've been sitting for a lot longer and a lot more consistently, I can feel that the benefit of pushing myself out of bed and going and sitting outweighs the benefit of just sleeping in longer. But I think as well, what's nice is when you track something, you're able to actually think more deeply about the actual effects of what you're doing. Because sometimes we can not put much awareness into our habits, and we don't always know, oh, if I do this, it makes me feel like this. But by tracking it, and in my example, let's say I skip something one day, I can then notice, oh, how did I feel because I skipped that thing compared to the other days? And it takes time to be able to see this more clearly because there can be many factors. But over time, you can then start to see, oh, well, if I wake up in the morning and I do sitting meditation and I do Hindu squats and Hindu push-ups, I actually feel way better. And I have more energy and I have more kind of, interest in the day. In some ways, it actually means that I have the ability to do more exercise during the day. Whereas if I wake up and don't do anything, I'm kind of setting myself off on a slower or more sleepy or more a down mood kind of path. So the whole point of this to me is just giving yourself the opportunity and the awareness to understand, well, what is it that I do? How do I spend my time? Am I actually thinking about how I spend my time? And do I care about wanting to find ways to look after myself that will have meaningful benefits? Because the thing about this is it's not that all of a sudden my life is now like full of elation, but it's that I don't have anywhere near as many days where I feel really down, you know? Because even on a day where I don't feel so good, perhaps I've got some difficulties going on in my life, I can at least say to myself, but I woke up and I did sitting meditation and I had the opportunity to be with my body and I did a bit of exercise and I felt good and I went out into nature even though it was raining and muddy, and I went to bed at 10 p.m. and I look back and I say, during the day maybe I didn't feel so good, but actually by the end of the day I recognize, that was a good day despite it kind of not feeling so good. And I think in the past, when I've not felt so good, it's been very easy for me to then allow myself to slip into habits which make me feel even worse. And so having the kind of routine there is a really nice reminder to help me to stick to it, even in the moments where I don't really want to, because the routine kind of gives you this opportunity to say, but remember why it's good to do this. And of course, it doesn't have to be that every single day you do every single thing, but it's a lot easier if you're doing these things 5 or 6 days a week to carry on doing them, rather than if you're only doing them once or twice, it doesn't feel like a real routine. So I would really recommend taking the sheet, following it, watching the YouTube videos, and then finding out which parts of this that you really like and which parts of it you weren't doing before, and you can look at and say, actually, this helps me a lot. I think for me, the ability to take control and look after myself and be able to know that I can do things in my life which take care of me, make me feel good, allow me to have more energy and to really, want to connect with life. This has been, really empowering. And I guess that's why that word is there in the name of the program, because it's about empowerment. It's about giving us the tools to look after ourselves, and that's really important, because at least for me, I want to feel that I have the confidence to be able to take care of myself, and also importantly, I want to be able to take care of myself really no matter where I am. And the good thing about this is you don't need anything really. It's basically just you and your body, and you can do it wherever you are, and that's really great. Yeah. I think I could just carry on talking, so you can cut it and whatever. But yeah.